So, took a long time to find a house in the UK with the various economic crises and whatnot. But yeah, I finally got somewhere to live. Really excited about that. I'm going to take you to the new studio. I think we'll set up the camera equipment here. And then, bash my head. And then we can get the full editing suite in here. Fuck, those ceilings are low. I'm not saying I'm excited to have all my stuff back or anything, but I do have a romper suit and a pumpkin mask I can now take down into a murder basement. Yes, welcome, look, I finally have a new studio. After months of trying to find a home in the UK, I finally found a place that has what could only be described as a downstairs catacomb. And I'm not going to waste too much of your time talking down here, like we're still setting up a real studio upstairs, and it's probably really echoey and hard to hear me, especially because I decided to put this on to complement the whole thing. So let's just get on with the episode. It's about Warner Brothers again, and what a terrible company it is.
When we spoke about Multiversus, Warner Brothers' dystopian display of unfettered intellectual property consumption, I suggested that maybe a company so willfully ignorant of cultural context as to place Arya Stark and Finn the Human in the same video game might not have much respect for the media it seizes control of at a frantically avaricious rate. While I fully acknowledge and understand that some may have disagreed with my opinion on Multiversus as a game, my suggestion that Warner Brothers has no fucking regard for the characters and stories it claims dominion over is more objective fact than subjective opinion. Warner Brothers, a ravenous entity that thinks a show about massacres and sex abuse should cross over with fucking Looney Tunes, while the Iron Giant violently pummels Harley Quinn, truly has not an ounce of reverence for the stories and characters it plans to drive into the dirt. After all, it's what corporations do. Everything they get their cold, callous talons on, from human creativity to humans themselves. It's all naught but a resource to them, just product. Ripe for exploitation, and quite literally nothing more than that in their eyes. If you want a beautifully outrageous example of Warner Brothers' sheer lack of esteem for art, there might be none more fine nor apt than the news that set the internet furiously ablaze this past week. Warner Brothers axing a number of practically completed projects, including the highly anticipated Batgirl, with no intention to do anything with all that hard work and financial investment than to let it rot. To seriously, legitimately allow it to die on the vine without hope of public release. It's an astounding move, and one that has quite rightly pissed off pretty much everybody that isn't a sneeringly cynical Warner Brothers executive or an alt-right fake nerd that gets all angy-wangy at anything not explicitly catering to their cishet sensibilities. Batgirl already has $90 million sunk into it, and WB is happy to axe the whole show alongside other projects like Scuba Holiday Haunt, the follow-up to the much-admired Scuba movie that was basically completed before its unceremonious and frankly insulting shelving. Usually when a project is deemed unworthy of publication by a studio, it'll sell it to someone else or quietly dump it out without marketing. It'll do something with it, so all that hard work and cash doesn't go entirely to waste. Not so with these recent axings. The plan is to bury them, and that's that. No theatrical release, no streaming on HBO Max, just gone. Warner Brothers sees nothing wrong with this. Nothing at all. Because it has no fucking respect for its intellectual property. It sees only the word property in that term because that's all companies like WB ever fucking see. Property that is theirs to churn. Property that is theirs to burn. All as they see fit. Of course, There's a massive variety of things wrong with Warner's shitty fucking decisions. It's been pointed out that Batgirl is one of the few WB projects starring a woman of colour, as well as a planned openly trans character, and was mercilessly scrapped, while Ezra Miller, who faces multiple horrible abuse allegations, continues to find work on the Flash series. While Dubia pumps out endless Joker media, anything with some creative or demographic diversity to it is lucky to get greenlit and faces an undignified trash can even if it does. It should hardly be surprising that Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav is very much in favour of straight white men running Hollywood almost exclusively. In the wake of the merger between WB and Discovery, he quickly appointed 6 seats on the board to white male directors, alongside the vast majority of his recent hires being white men too. However, he did fire one of the highest ranking women in Hollywood, Ann Sarnoff, and in her place installed multiple white men imported from Discovery. So, really committed to keeping Hollywood as stale and homogenous as possible while axing projects with female leads. Zaslav, with his cronyistic restructuring, commitment to exploiting franchises to their maximum, and wild promises of ambitious 10-year plans for intellectual property, very much sounds like the quintessential video game CEO, and the more I see of him, the more I'm reminded of Activision boss Bobby Kotick. He's a fucking twat, recently showcasing his total understanding of women by suggesting that fandoms are for boys and unscripted content is for girls. Whatever dumb shit that's supposed to mean. Just some completely outdated, out of touch, out of this fucking reality, gender role gibberish based in mere assumption. Something tells me that as time goes on, the similarities between Zaslav and Kotick will only grow more apparent. This is because compulsive capitalists with the bloodthirsty drive to reach the upper echelons of mainstream media's most powerful companies are all pretty much the same stripe of predator. For all this, I can't say I have a personal horse in this particular race, not in terms of wanting to watch any of the content. As I said in our last Warner Bros. Flavoured video, I am so fucking burnt out on comic book shit and the sheer overwhelming volume of fandom-oriented content in general that I mentally checked out quite some time ago. Between that and my ADHD running so far out of control I can't even sit and watch a film or TV show to completion anymore, I can't say I was looking forward to anything that got cancelled. Not because I was actively snubbing any of it, but because I just don't follow a huge majority of mainstream media anymore. Despite that, however, I am very greatly offended by the cancellations on an intellectual level. I'm offended by the callous disregard for the hard work that went into these projects. Hard work that these CEOs will never appreciate because wealthy corporate leaders simply don't remember or never knew what hard fucking work is. Wealthy executives at companies like Warner Bros. Are functionally useless drains on the economy who are pretty much only good at securing and hoarding money for themselves and a handful of their equally rich collaborators at the very top of a food chain that exploits thousands of people underneath them for their labour. I'm offended by Warner Bros. Discovery Time Coca Pringles in association with AT and Taco Bell exhibiting the exact same attitude we've seen exhibited by every single asshole publisher we've ever roasted on this show. The all-or-nothing need to fulfill immediate greed with short-term gains while ignoring the value in reaching new people rather than increasingly churn out focus-tested swill to the same insular demographics because these corporations don't care about sustainable income or making comfortable revenue. They don't want some of the money, they want all of the money. A truth I've repeated for nigh on 10 years that has only ever become more proven with time. But most of all, most virulently of all, I am offended at the sheer insulting waste of it all. Right now, working people are facing some of the toughest fucking times in living memory. Hell, in history overall. The cost of living is rising to a downright lethal degree while wages continue to stagnate and companies refuse to pay people in line with excessive inflation. In the United Kingdom, The cost of living crisis, more accurately labelled by myself as the cost of greed crisis, has seen energy bills skyrocket as caps on prices were lifted, allowing energy companies to raise people's bills to such a degree that many hardworking families are now having to choose between heating their homes and affording food. All while these companies post record profits. I mean, for fuck's sake, an increasing number of food banks in the country are being joined by heat banks, so people have somewhere warm to go during the day when they can't afford to stop their houses freezing them to fucking death. There's a full-on housing crisis across the globe, rents being jacked up, again with no concern for hardworking people who are taking on multiple jobs and finding it still not enough to put a roof over their head, much less afford gas in their cars to get to their jobs, because those prices are soaring as well. Unchecked financial fucking gluttony has led to a society of people working and working and working and reaping exactly zero reward for their efforts. People can't afford to eat. People can't afford to turn the lights on. People can't afford their cars or their homes. And while all this is going on, Warner Brothers is spunking $90 million up a fucking wall like it's absolutely fucking nothing, because to them it really is fucking nothing. To the ridiculously minted handful of disconnected fuckheads at the top of this mountain of shit world we inhabit, $90 million can be burned in front of all of our faces, and that fact should absolutely fucking gall the lot of you. How dare they? How actually dare they take millions, potentially hundreds of millions when you factor all the scrapped investments, and simply waste that much money with the casual lack of accountability one might have for a discarded banana peel. And this all becomes extra twisted when you realise that Warner Brothers is gonna just take a tax write-down on this money spunking and not really lose anything itself. Wastefulness without any consequence. I know context is dead to Warner Brothers, but to me it fucking means something still, and the societal context within which these cancellations occurred is truly fucking appalling to me. The decadence is shocking. Beyond shocking, it's downright fucking sick. But look at me being overly political again. Not like the true centrists of the internet currently gloating that Batgirl was cancelled because it was woke. Oh, to be so apolitical. Fuck capitalists.
Years ago, I said that Warner Brothers, as a game publisher, should be counted up there with EA, with Ubisoft, with Activision Blizzard. In terms of avariciousness, in terms of fucking over the customer, in terms of having no regard for the content it spits out, Warner Brothers is well up there. If it's fucking filth, then Warner Brothers has rolled around in it. Speaking of filth, I am now going to go because it's genuinely quite scary down here. That's a bit of bricked up door. Thank God for me. Fuck.